where Nongshim's identity is, but look, it's still early on in the season. You could take some risks like this. It's the T1 series. You usually bring that one to 3, at least.
Yep.
Maybe Calmy and Mihail will be the ones to do it.
And Calmy, always one of these players that in an off-season just destroys solo queue as well. Currently, he is rank 4. The guy he just gets it. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this version of Nongshim is going to change up this draft. As we dive into it, it is once again going to be the Ashe ban first. The Jax actually immediately taken away from Mihail, definitely one of the favorites of his, so T1 not going to be caught unawares. I still think K'Sante is probably where he wants to go.
Yeah, it's been, we've had a K'Sante-less day so far here.
Yeah, it's been like, I feel like the champion is just, maybe K'Sante isn't good anymore, Wolf. Maybe it's just we're not going to have K'Sante meta anymore, Wolf.
Don't jinx it.
Maybe that's what's going to happen. It's just no more. Obviously, it's just fine. As Faker having a chat to the rest of T1, we'll see what they do decide on for their final ban here. It was Jax, Corki, and Rumble taken away first, and they have decided that is precisely what they're going to do this time around as well. Curiously, T1 chose the blue side to start off this series, and Nongshim chose red, and then chose red again.
Yeah, I was going to mention that's a little bit puzzling to me with how strong the blue side picks are right now. We're just going to leave Senna up again.
Yeah.
Senna was not ultimately the problem, and they can Ziggs again and try to play better. It could be a salty runback situation here. But I don't know if you're going to get that big whoopsie from T1 like you did last time, because the game was playable not because Nongshim played out the drafts early and middle stages to a T. They kind of stemmed the bleeding, and then T1 made a whoopsie, and then they're like, we have Tristana Ziggs, and then they came back into the game. So you got to get Nautilus. That's a given. I think it'll probably be Ziggs again, that they do go for it. They'll take the Tristana, and I think this is going to be, at least for the first half, the same draft. But T1 can make some adaptations of their own.
No, well, actually, if you're going to be doing experiments, Wolf, it is much better to lower the amount of variables so that you can make the right assessment of the situation. So I think it's not even a salty runback. They just need an accurate runback.
Yeah, they need the control variables of the champions.
Straight up. And they're going to have to convince Oner to switch off Nidalee here. And unfortunately, he didn't go to the Viego. So we've messed it up entirely. Thankfully, it's only one whoopsie, as they do prioritize getting the bottom lane that they were looking for, of course. Can still be flexed towards the top side of the map, but there is the Ziggs. As Nongshim, they can at least control their picks to see which top and mid lane combination is going to be the best for their team.
Yeah. I will say Faker also largely invisible that last game on the Azir. The game really just wasn't about him. It was about the carry top Kennen, and that's something that they can now take away in the second banning phase if they would like to. The jungle options could also be pinched here significantly, as the Viego did end up getting POG, much to Huni and Ox's chagrin.
Yeah.
And it definitely might have some PTSD as well on the team for the unfortunate chase situation that didn't go so well. It will take the Kennen away. I like this more than banning the Viego because there's so many viable options with this Azir that, I mean, Oner will happy to play Lee Sin instead, for example.
Yeah,
so,
Lee Sin, Vi, Xin, like there are so many champions available, so I don't think they needed to worry about it.
Nidalee taken away here from Sylvie. Strong to have Tristana with the Nidalee in terms of damage profile, but they already do have the Ziggs here. I think Chronicler's probably thinking, don't ban the Nidalee. There's no way Sylvie could pilot that. And that's kind of where my mind's at, but they don't want to deal with the variants. They don't want to deal with the poke either in the late game with this squishy Senna.
I do think that Nidalee without setup in mid lane as well just feels pretty bad, and Tristana doesn't really offer too much of that. But still, just not going to take the risk. There is a Vayne ban. I wonder if that means that T1 are thinking about a K'Sante.
I think it is definitely the thought process right now. I think some K'Sante considerations are happening. Could be denied by Mihail since he loves it so much.
He does.
But he's going to save the 5th for counter. Ooh. As I think with Ziggs, I much prefer the Maokai here than the Sejuani, especially when you consider how poor the Glacial Prison usage was in Game 1. Did not inspire confidence in this pick, especially when you consider there's not really any permafrost synergy in this composition at the moment. But he will lock it in just the same.
Let's see what T1 does to round out their composition.
Vi is a given, I think.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about prior, and that does make a whole lot of sense. Very difficult to buffer out of a cease and desist. But that is the K'Sante picked up by Zeus, just denying Mihail's favorite champion And a Graves hover, at least for the moment, was something that Oner was playing a heck of a lot of, and flexing it with Canna when he debuted on T1. Hovering Karthus for the minute, but I don't know whether Karthus Azir is the way. And like you say, the Vi obviously
has to be Vi. Karthus doesn't make as much sense in this draft. And it doesn't follow up, doesn't link CC together as well. Aatrox. Now that's a callback. That is not what I expected. But there's not really much ranged top lane options left to try to deal with this K'Sante in lane. The Gnar is still available and could have been played here, and they could have run back the draft, right, completely. The Aatrox is going to have a very different mid-game and is going to be able to, I feel, deal with this K'Sante, if played well in the early game, has a lot of synergy with the Sejuani, more than the Gnar does, obviously. And so, you know, this is a good adaptation here for Nongshim Red Force, but it does, I feel like, kind of warp how this draft works scaling-wise quite significantly, because the Gnar is always going to be a pretty consistent engage tool, even from behind later on. As we saw, Dundun did not have a great game, was subbed out, but even when low resources was able to potentially set up for some nice Gnar bars, set up for some engages. It didn't really happen that way, but you could see that Gnar could still be relevant. Aatrox, if Mihail has a rough debut here, does not have the same level of control. I mean, if he plays basically the same game that Dundun had, falls behind, the Aatrox will do less than nothing, unfortunately. So that's the risk, that's the trade-off that you get with this one.
Yeah, I do not mind it just in the context of Mihail, right? We mentioned that he is kind of the K'Sante guy. It's obviously his most played by double that of the Aatrox, at least more recently. And, you know, he does just prefer it. But the Aatrox has a really high win rate from Mihail. Like, he has been very successful in Challenger on this champion. So a lot of comfort. We'll just see whether it translates to success here on the main stage as we dive into the Rift for Game 2.
세상사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, on the Rift. Game number 2, as we do have Oner scuttling up against Sylvie as Faker in position. Once again on the Azir, not mixing it up too much, and still base skin. A lot of skin swaps coming through for Nongshim, though, trying to change the air, you know, a different vibe coming on in. And I think that if you're not going to change the champion, just changing up the skin choice, it's a great way of doing it. And so Call Me changing it up a little bit here. You can see that Jiwoo, he's ready to go on holidays. Definitely, like, Pool Party Ziggs is one of the better Pool Party skins, in my opinion.
I feel like Guma definitely learned the patrol key from Innovation, his older brother, on this one. He's doing this, a bit of a StarCraft right there. He's like, in StarCraft, you press the P key, but in League, I'm going to right-click to the left, to the right. Repeatedly.
Exactly. I wish you still had, like, the patrol option like you used to in the previous game. You remember? Ah, good times.
The previous game.
The previous game. Call Me jumps onto Faker here for a moment. And let's see how his Tristana is going to do, as we do have a controlled setup. Unfortunately, Mihail not on the Gnar is very sad, because we don't get a direct comparison between the Nongshim top laners. But Call Me, he's been playing a lot of Tristana in solo queue as well, as we mentioned before, pretty high up there at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Call Me's he's been able to lean on this Tristana pick quite significantly in the past, and laning-wise, I think Call Me, that's where people usually are drawn to him as,
Ooh, nice little hook here, as immediately Gumayusi not going to waste any time, throws out the barrier to make sure he minimizes the amount of damage. Guga kind of wishes he has one of those. I guess his W kind of is one, but it's on cooldown for the moment. They do back away. Still decent trade, as Piercing Darkness not going to get that little bit of extra damage. And there's another hook. Bellow's Breath comes in, but Keria still going to take the damage.
Yeah,
fighting back.
Satchel back up as well. Keria needs to be careful, be respectful of that damage. Could potentially come through here as he continues to pressure. First strike picked up again here, so no sort of comet to continue to put this pressure on and then maybe actually get a big edge here. So I think Keria and Guma will be fine ultimately, but some nice proactive plays from Guger landing the back-to-back hooks with that reduced cooldown. And it's going to be a nice trade. The first satchel, unfortunately, not really doing him any favors in terms of putting Guma in harm's way, kind of pushing him further away. But yeah, otherwise a calm early game here.
Yep, just chilling. See Mihail trying to find some of these sweet spots. Not going to get them onto Zeus, at least in this moment. You can see Sylvie rotating over, looking for a bit of a dive. Down to 400 health is Zeus. This is a possibility. As Permafrost up and available as well. Going to be starting it off with Sylvie tanking. There's the flash and first blood with an aftershock. You love to see it. It's pretty cute. As now, Oner looking for a potential 1v2, but by that I mean looking for a way out. And he does manage to Vault Breaker over that wall. No interruption there from Nongshim, but that is a great start with first blood.
And I think it all comes back to the sour spots. You know, Oner was up there, but Mihail missed all the cues, and he was like, nah, Sylvie can't be here. There's no way. Like, he otherwise would have hit those. But no, in all
I like sour spots. Have you been doing that before? Are you debuting sour spots for us right here? Because I love that.
I mean, I think that's what people call them, right?
Do they?
I don't know. It's the opposite of sweet, so
I thought it was like not sweet spots, you know, and I just didn't think of the sour spots. I think it's fantastic.
I don't think I coined that, but you know, I'll accept your.
Well, whoever. Well, let me know on Twitter who else coined it. Otherwise, I'm giving it to Wolf. Okay.
All right, I'll take it.
As Oner is going to be able to take this one down, but Sylvie is here. Permafrost to come in as well, and does just wait for him to get over the wall before he chases him down with that one.
Close call on that. If the Permafrost hits on the other side of the wall or interrupts his dash through it, he might have to flash there. So Sylvie really getting a lot of value in this early game. Was pretty high resource last game as well.
That's a nice satchel there from Jiwoo.
That's the one that you want to see. As Nongshim, you know, starting off with a really good kill in the top side means that, you know, we're not talking about Mihail getting pushed in and losing lane. Like, push the lane aggressively, set up for that dive. Sylvie cuts across. Permafrost is good. Flash for the guarantee. You know, he might not be hitting his ultimates, but as we've seen in the LCK many times, especially, you know, good old Umpty, hitting the Sejuani ultimate's not always what, you know, the key part of the champion.
Absolutely not. And actually does have a fair bit of early power with the Frost Armor as well as Aftershock. You're extremely tanky. So it can be dented by the Vi. Of course, she is often picked into Sejuani for exactly that reason, but can be used for dives quite effectively. Saw that really come into effect. So nicely played by Sylvie. They're going to have to keep it up, because as it was in the last game, T1 have a lot of late game power in this one. Good vision now available here as Colmy knows that Oner is in the vicinity. He's going to slink back into the fog of war. Sylvie is going to take his Raptors. So
Sylvie just having a great game, you know? Now Guma roaming up here. See if Mihail gets baited.
Ooh, not looking for it just yet, as Gumayusi will just fade away from the brush. Sylvie moving up as well. I have an idea, an inkling that this could be happening, as now he comes in. Mihail trying to keep them interested, but they're going to sweep out this brush, find out that there is some vision there as Oner starts off these grubs. A lot of people in this area, but you can see Colmy a little bit later on the rotation over
with Faker. Gets here first. Faker having 6. I just don't know if you really want to try to force this, Nongshim. The Emperor's Divide can be fight-changing.
Oh, Hook is going to connect, but it is on to Zeus. Colmy now waiting for his opportunity. He just dives on in. Emperor's Divide pushes him out immediately and all out. He's going to get rid of the Tristana. Gumayusi's already taken down Sylvie as well, and it's an absolute disaster here. Oner also tanking forever. Finally, he falls down, but Guga has to overextend in order to get it, and it's a double kill for the Cassante. It looked pretty good for a few moments, and then it was all over for Nongshim.
The problem is, no matter what engage you end up getting in that scenario, Faker says no! And that's the problem with engaging into the Azir. One of the reasons why Azir is so meta and has been for basically forever is it's a team fight warping ultimate that he has. He has good prio, he pushes well, he does a lot of damage, he scales well, but those first fights on Herald, in this case Grubs, he is going to be so incredibly strong there, and you have to follow up on a hook, and that puts you in harm's way.
Well, speaking of harm's way, Colmy going to have to get out of here, and does so. That explosive charge ignorable here by Faker, and he does so, as he does get another shove out on this wave.
And I can respect the concept of this, obviously, considering that it is that early Aatrox power. He doesn't have a ton of items just yet, so he's not that strong, but he is going to be good in those types of skirmishes. I think if Faker wasn't able to rotate over or had to rotate over late, you definitely look for that hook, you definitely look for that fight, but Nongshim, they made it look close, and the engage was good. But ultimately, they do end up coming up short here.
Yeah. And
2 kills for the Cassante is a big problem.
No, it certainly is. He's well and truly back into this one. Bramble Vest as well as the Steel Caps. And it means that Mihail is going to have a much harder time. Probably going to be more of a bruiser build, I would imagine, for the Aatrox. Of course, you have a fair bit of flexibility, but that's likely what we're going to be seeing here.
Yeah, Mihail's searching Gore Drinker in the shop. And
Where's my Divine Sunder?
Yeah, he's not too happy about the changes to the itemization.
Yeah. Nah, there's a few of them. There's that cool one that's kind of like that item that used to be in the game a million years ago, and like the Atma's Impaler guy does a bit of damage based on your health. I don't know whether that one's any good, but it might work.
He hooks Zeus as well, who's one of the tankiest members here, right? And if he hooks Faker, they might be able to burst him down despite the Emperor's Divide, but he's unable to get Faker. Faker doesn't get caught by that. He hits Zeus instead, and then Faker just warps his fight. Now, this is still, I think, as well played by Nongshim as it could have been with the Emperor's Divide coming through, and it's not a nothing they end up picking up here, but ultimately it's giving T1 a huge leash here in this game.
Well, Guga going to taxi through via a minion. I'd like to say that that is intentional, but he may have just missed. All right, Gumayusi not going to get pulled back. How did he break those chains? Mihail kind of robbed on that one. Nicely played. Watching that back and actually during the fight itself, I was focused on Call Me, and I actually think that him rocket jumping right into the middle of people, probably not the way to start that fight. That's the thing that I was a little bit worried about, is he's going to jump in yet again on top of Faker, but not going to quite find the angle, just shift some sands, and the GOAT's going to get out just fine.
It's so big if Call Me can get that pick, if he's able to get that kill and get that reset early on in the fight. I mean, you have the Tristana, you have Aatrox, you just steamroll the fight.
And what happened was like a ruler situation, right? Like he flashes, still gets caught by the ult.
Yep.
And it's kind of all over there. Zeus even using him to taxi where he wants to go. Even after the flash, caught by the Glacial Prison here is Gumayusi. So he's going to have to burn his flash. And also still gets caught. So nicely done by Sylvie. Still not able to get the kill, which is a little bit unfortunate, but I'm just proud of Sylvie. He landed it.
Now, this time Jiwoo is playing into a Cassante and an Horn, so the burst build can still be viable, but it's going to be a little bit tougher to pull off here as the front line is much more robust this time around for T1. Not going to be a Kennen, so we'll see how well this goes. It's going to have to be good target selection as Mihail's in trouble.
Yeah, Worldender is going to go down first up here as they do get the teleport in as well. It's a really nice Infernal Chains, but unfortunately it's Cassante, so he just dashes one of 700 ways out of there. And he is going to be absolutely fine.
Would you say he's unstoppable?
I would say that he is difficult to stop, Wolf. Almost impossible.
Unchained.
Indeed.
Well,
Call Me just back to laning. Faker with a decent CS advantage at the moment. And I think that, you know, T1, they've just kind of caught this 1.3k gold lead. They're probably looking to hold that for quite a while. And then just use it to very slowly get Gumayusi online, get Keria to masterwork some of these items.
I saw a comment after the first game about how T1's playstyle is so boring these days. Like, they keep drafting the Senna drafts, and it's always Fakers this year, even though he's, like, super famous on it, and that's very boring to me. But, look, T1 want to win, and they get early leads, and then they can just kind of chill. And that's, I mean, ultimately what these drafts are looking to do. They play aggressively early, they get some advantages, and then they're scaling with an Oner composition. That's what this comp's designed to do. You don't have to just run around the map looking for picks non-stop. That's kind of Nongshim's job in this game, especially at this current game state. Speaking of...
All right, Chu just throws some water bombs around. Not too much else is going to occur.
But you know, it does remind me of like 2021, early 2022 Gen G, where they play the standard comp every time. It's very slow, and they always win, but it's not that exciting. It does feel reminiscent of that in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I also think that that's entirely irrelevant and a dumb take. Because if you want to win, do it in the way that is the best.
Yes.
Right? And this is what they've discovered is the best for them. And I think you have to applaud it. And while I understand, you know, it might be... not necessarily your favorite thing to see it over and over again, but if you're a fan, you probably want to see him win.
Yeah. As they say, don't hate the player, hate the game. But actually, the game's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Freak's doing all right.
And I'm neither here nor there when it comes to the Fearless draft. You know, I kind of wanted to have that conversation. Maybe we'll save it for the POG stage.
Oh,
Maybe we'll have a big discussion on it.
You know how I feel.
I know, change, Wolf. I imagine you love Fearless draft and just want it in the LCK tomorrow, right?
The way I feel about Fearless Draft, the TLDR, is we already played it in the LPL, so like Fearless rules, you can't play it in the other regions now. It's done. You put Fearless in LPL, and now you can't play Fearless in LCK. That's the Fearless rules.
Is that why everyone has different takes on how Fearless works? Because you have to have different rules in every region? Oh god, I didn't know that was the way. Oh man, I hope we get some cool rules.
Yeah, in the LCK, you only do it for CL.
Yeah. Wow, it really goes deeper than I thought. I didn't even know.
Oner is over here. I don't think they could dive a Nautilus Aatrox, but they're putting that pressure on the plates, and meanwhile, Jiwoo, out of mana, isn't going to be able to get the same pressure done here, so clock ticking against Nongshim here a little bit. Is Call Me maybe dead?
Yeah, Oner actually not pulling the trigger.
The spacing on this, man, that was actually clean, because both ultimates for Oner and Faker there would have linked together to actually get his demise if he was like 1 centimeter closer in that instance, but he handles it well. He's also got Flash.
Faker just walking towards Call Me. Nice flash. He's able to get out of it this time. Sylvie doing one of his patented ultimates here underneath the turret. And they are going to be able to make their way out as Hook just narrowly avoided by Faker with the blast cone. Can't avoid that one though, as he does flash to get himself to relative safety. Mihail with a nice flash Q, but that's about all he really got out of it. Dawning Shadow comes in, decent little hook. Mihail stays alive for quite a while, and Sylvie gets over the wall. Oner will go down, but it's another double for the Kazante, and they just took too long. And Zeus is going to be able to cut them down. Keria finds the knock up onto Sylvie as well, who's on the wrong side of the rift here, and he just gets searingly charged by the Ornn.
Zeus did so much in that fight to keep everybody alive. Faker narrowly escaping the initial parts, and then Zeus just comes in. If someone ever wondered if you're like new to MOBAs, if you're new to like game terms, if you're like, oh, somebody said that he peeled for him, what does that mean? What Zeus just show them that clip of what Zeus did in that fight. That was insanity. 4 kills now on the Kazante. It was accelerated a little bit earlier on in this one. He is sitting on a bunch of components, but he's got big money and he's going back to the shop right now. We're going to go all the way back to this moment here where Call Me does have the flash perfectly used against the Emperor's Divide, but Sylvie, you said his ult was patented. It feels like it in this series so far. If that is connecting, maybe they end up getting something back, and then they overforce and overchase. And yes, Faker gets caught here, but look at Zeus blocking all of Nongshim, and then Call Me just goes in. He's like, no, there is no way we retreat. I'm actually going to hard force this, and then just gets absolutely popped by Zeus again. Yeah. Faker doing damage over the wall the entire time, and then Keria with the TP flank here on this Ornn is going to secure the kill on the Sylvie. Nongshim, they saw blood in the water, and look, last time they got the punish in game 1, but this time it backfires in a big way.
It did not quite work out. And I'm thinking about your Aslan reference again. I mean, someone should check on him. He's just covered in prisons now. There's so many of them. Unfortunately for Sylvie, not able to find that one. Hook is going to connect here from Guga though, as Keria in position. And Guga immediately feels a little bit uncomfortable about the decision he just made. Punished immediately, Faker able to grab that kill. And Nongshim now find themselves without a support, and it's kind of crumbling, it's kind of falling apart. And it's feeling like T1 just has Nongshim exactly where they want them.
It really does. And it's a comp that scales incredibly well, but the Kazante is just so large already. Like, he went from components to a big fist and some really spiky armor very quickly.
Yeah.
He's so incredibly tanky now and so sticky as well that you just can't break through him. I mean, a Kraken Slayer only Tristana is going to take a long time to actually get through that, and the Profane Hydra Aatrox, he's going to hurt himself more than he's going to hurt the Kazante trying to swing that thing around. So
it feels real bad, doesn't it? You see 2 full armor items, and then you're like, I just finished my first lethality item.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh god.
It's not a good situation. And I mean, again, in this fight, it's optimistic to think that you could actually end up forcing this Herald fight, even if you have the numbers advantage. Ziggs isn't here, doesn't have the ability to teleport into the fight. Like, it's very disjointed. I think Nongshim really just falling apart at the seams here after a series of really close to greatness plays, but yeah, T1 were just the stronger team on the day. It's not over till it's over, but it's feeling pretty close.
Feeling like it's getting there. I also think that T1 upgraded their draft as well with this one as Cease and Desist comes in. Mihail is going to get all outed and destroyed. The Mega Inferno Bomb just not as mega as it has been in other games in the past. And T1 looking for an inner turret here as well. They've got a cannon minion. They will be able to cut this one down. Oh dear. This is getting into shellacking territory as we crest the 18-minute mark. Baron not even on the map yet, and it's a 6,000 gold lead for T1. Yeah, we're going to have a look at this gold gap. And it's only, the damage cap is only 1,000. So there's that. It's 3,000 on the gold though.
So Zeus is like, all right, after game 1, where I had my jungler just completely camp and get a huge lead, I'm going to show you I could do it on my own in game 2. Faker, whoa, going to be all right.
That water balloon did some crazy stuff, man. That was like the wanted water balloon.
Yeah, that's like the moment where, you know... Okay, hold up.
All right, Sylvie, he's looking to try and get out of here. Might be able to do so as Bellows Breath is going to absorb the Glacial Prison. Pulled back by Zeus as well, and he is just being thrown around like a ragdoll, or a rag 4. And Oner was fighting Mihail and realized that he is not Zeus, and that's not a blast cone, and he's able to get out.
Well, you know, I feel like Poolbay would be proud of what Sylvie attempted there.
Bit of flanking?
Yeah, a bit of flanking. A very deep one is...
Oh, max range hook from Guga, and he is going to be placed underneath the turret. Mega Inferno Bomb does go down. The Ignite absorbed by the Zhonyas and Faker. He does have to flash, but he does make it out as well.
Faker's got perfect KDA despite a series of shenanigans, let's say. It's like Nongshim are just trying to annoy him, and he's
also absorbing all of that pressure. Yeah. All Nongshim want is to kill Faker. As Jiwoo once again going to take down this turret, and once again going to get punished. No, never mind. Oh, there's the cease and assist. 1v3. Oner says, all right, he'll trade his life for it. As Faker, he was rotating over, but he was sort of 1v3, but he's actually just fine. As he is going to survive once again, walks away with 300. Zeus goes all out underneath the turret. The double knockup is just gorgeous from Keria, who's able to tank for about 16 years. I think I was rounding down on that one as well. As Sylvie, he's able to Arctic Assault his way out, but the rest of his teammates are lying in the sand, and that is going to be the outer turret falling. T1 making short work of this one.
I mean, it just cut the tape. I mean, Faker's got plot armor like I've never seen in this game. Yeah. The satchel helping to save him in that last exchange.
After game 1 was a little bit close, everyone went to the Faker temple that was set up. As, okay, maybe this is the caster curse. As Jiwoo looking for that flank angle. Gumayusi gonna flash another one to Aslan. As now Guga, he will find Faker. How does he get out of this one? He's got, no, never mind, he just doesn't. And Zeus, he's found Mihail. Does push the Aatrox into the wall, but maybe that's exactly where Mihail wanted him. Finds the third Q, and that is gonna be the kill going over to Call Me. Where have I seen this before?
Okay, so
the eulogy was read way too early, I think.
This is when Nongshim hold up the game 1 playbook and they're like, all right, Baron, go to Baron now. As Cougar's gonna buy time.
He is definitely doing that. The Ram comes out, nice buffer on the dredge line. As we can see, he is buying time because the Baron currently going down right now. T1 taking their frustrations out on the Nautilus. Final punch does come on through. Looking forward to Arcane as well. The Rift Herald is going to do some scouting, and he gets the information that the Baron does go down.
Wait, how many laps?
And Guma's like, well, now it's time to take the inner turret, and he's not going to be able to get there. Runs out of time on that one.
I wanted to see a second lap.
Yeah, that would have been pretty cool.
Could have made a Mario Kart circuit. Well, they do end up getting the Baron ultimately here after a series of very strange events. This is how it all starts off as Faker is able to Emperor's Divide, dash, satchel bounce, and then go Zhonyas, and then escape despite being ignited there with the flash ultimate. He did all of that to try to save his flash, and he's like, okay, fine. Decides to flash in the end. And then we'll see, I guess after this, the second exchange where he comes over here, and then the satchel actually ends up kind of ultimately saving him here as they try to collapse onto him. Watch this.
Yeah. Decent buffer from Colmy as well to avoid the Ram, but in the end, Zeus is really large.
Yeah, and Keria,
very good.
He's very large as well. He's very in charge. Now, this is where things get a little bit too greedy for T1. We've seen this before.
Huh.
He just wanted
I missed the Mega Inferno Bomb. Well,
yeah, he wanted to see if blue buff was up. Didn't want to check the mini-map, but look, T1 could have all been in there backing, wants to get some information there. He misses, so does the Sylvie ult, but T1 are too low on health and too far up. I mean, there's not much to explain here. There's not a sync play. It's just T1 once again stepping a few too steps far past the line. Nongshim take them out, take Baron. And hey, it's only a 5,000 gold lead. Last time we were like, oh, it's only a 4,000 gold lead. Then they were able to even that up.
I mean, it's basically the same. It's the same situation all over again.
Yeah, and it's still Ziggs Tristana, and it's still turret bursting.
Yeah.
There is a Cassante this time, though. The Cassante has Jack shows.
And there is also an Ornn, and I feel like Keria on Ornn has a lot more agency, not to mention the fact that he's level 14 now, can start upgrading these items, some master working to come through now, and so there are a few extra variables that Nongshim are going to have to take in mind, but if they don't mess up a huge team fight like they did in game number 1, this could easily be a W. That's absolutely, well, easily is a weird word to use there, Atlas, but
it could strangely enough be a W.
Yeah, it could. It could difficultly be a W. As Mihail not going to be able to find those chains onto Oner, but they still do manage to get him out of their jungle as the Infernal Drake up and available. Last time around, Nongshim did manage to even out the Drakes, getting to 2-2, I believe, at one point. In fact, I believe they took the third dragon.
All right, Oner is, if he gets seen on this flame, and he definitely has been seen, if he gets caught by Sylvie's ult, you know, it might be the first time this series, but it could be enough to stop the jungler and take this dragon. He does wrap completely around now.
Yeah, Mihail on that flank angle as well. He can get into that pit with the Umbral Dash if he would like to, as Sylvie is looking to try and make sure he's there to contest this smite. I mean, Zeus, I think they want a team fight. I don't think they want to go for, let's just take the dragon and get out. I think it's just trying to find that ultimate angle.
That Pope needs to hit for Ziggs. He's got 800 damage. This fight needs more.
Oh, Sylvie with the steal, so we even out the dragons.
Okay, T1 just walk away from this one, and there's no consolation mid-turret to take. They're just going to try to push up into the mid lane, but Nongshim will be able to get these backs off. I don't think they get the inhibitor turret here. They just get a push in, so T1 really gaining nothing and relinquishing this dragon, and the game continues. T1, they have a draft that scales incredibly well, right? They have these ornaments coming through. Faker's the first recipient here. Now we will see some of those come in as time goes on. Obviously, Keria has the upgraded Frozen Heart as well, so I mean, Mihail gets less relevant as the game goes on for a while. Then he gets more relevant if we get super late.
Yep.
But this isn't the way. Back away. That's not the way to get more relevant.
He is, yeah, was just looking for his opportunity. Throws down the World Ender, but that's not on exactly the hugest of cooldowns, so not exactly too worried about it.
I mean, Faker does have the shattered arm guard, and that means he's going to have a Zonius. That'll be pretty helpful defensively against this Aatrox, but on the other side of things, Guma only has the Edge of Night, so if Mihail encounters a non-Cassante, non-Ornn champion, he's going to do a lot in these fights. So a lot of this is going to be determined by how well Gugur sets up these hooks. If Sylvie can hit some ultimates, maybe lock down one of these squishies, then Mihail can do a lot of work, and then the longer fight then be able to take out the tanks later on. So that was very satisfying CS right there. I really feel like this game is still T1's to lose, but, you know, we have seen some crazy things in this best of 3 already.
We certainly have. If it's going to go the way of game number 1, then there's some funny business, and then ultimately T1 gets their act together and finds a team fight, and then wins it out. But Nongshim, let's see whether they can get their ducks in a row. Find some of these big circle ultimates to start things off, get a pick into, you know, one of these team fights where Mihail can get some of these resets as well.
And after mythic items for so long, the Ludens plus the Leandries feels like an identity crisis. So I look at it, I'm like, you can't do both. You can't be like burst and sustained burn damage. But he kind of is going to be able to do a little bit of both with this build here. And I really loved the point that Ox made. It was so beautifully said on the space when he said, you know, Jiwoo often makes that weird mistake at the end of the game, even in the last T1 game when he was on the Smolder, and you're like, oh, if he had just played it better. But the only reason they were still in the game was because he had played so well the entire time.
Yeah.
Game 1 was just like that, where he was able to clear so consistently all of the waves, and that's part of why, again, in this game, Nongshim are still in it, because he's got such great wave clear, especially now with this Leandries, to where it's hard for T1 to go, okay, we gave the dragon, but we'll push an inhibitor, because he's just going to keep cleaning that up, even using his ults oftentimes to clear the waves. He's keeping them in it, and if he plays out that last team fight a little bit different than the one we saw in Game 1, maybe they do get that W.
There is certainly an opportunity.
I feel like I have to be like a mystic to discuss this series.
No, I know. I don't know. Like we need to get to that part of the newspaper. You know, like what does your horoscope say today, Wolf? I'm like, I'm a Taurus. Can you read mine out for me?
Call me Drew the Hierophant card.
Oh god. I think I got the full, unfortunately. But I don't necessarily know what that means because I don't know which card I played previously.
I think we're all fools to predict this game as they're doing Baron. It's a T1 moment here. Rotation coming up.
It's going down extraordinarily quickly. The teleport in from Mihail will get him into the fight as Mega Inferno Bomb to at least lower the health bars somewhat. And Zeus maybe caught out of position. Well, he's Kasante, so never mind. And T1, they move back towards the Baron. It's secured by Oner. The double knockup comes in from the Call of the Forge God, and now they throw the kitchen sink at them. Call me to be taken down so low as Zeus gets into the fight in the nick of time, and Keria somehow survives as well. Faker is able to take down yet another one, and he's able to kite them out as well. And Jiwoo, once again, the last man standing. Game 1, Game 2. Is there a difference, Wolf? It's another team fight for T1.
It's another one, this time on the Baron. And for Call Me, you've got to be the one who lives there. You go in to secure the kill and you die, and that's all the damage gone as T1 still have Faker, still have Guma. It should be Jiwoo who dies to go for the kill. He's the one who's got the burst. And now you have no sustained damage, no way to clean up. And Guma's going in.
Yeah, he's looking for it. Oh man, even the Piercing Darkness doing so much. Faker just slides on in to help him lock that one down. T1, they secure the delayed ace, and they will be able to take at least this inhibitor turret. We'll see whether they can actually do more here as the top lane also being attacked as Zeus pushes that minion wave in. They get the snare very nicely onto Sylvie to make sure that they can at least secure that turret. But the game will continue for now, but it is now a much larger deficit, a huge uphill battle now for Nongshim.
6,000 gold off the Baron here. And look at the damage coming out here from Jiwoo is huge. Zeus also occupying Mihail in the bottom side of this fight, but Call Me's positioning here is a little bit suspect. He wants to help Sylvie try to get the steal here, but then he is just flying through the bouncy castle in this one. Flashes over and yes, gets the kill, but dies for it. A slower, more measured approach to try to punish the Baron take rather than steal with the Tristana damage, I think might have been a better option here. Nongshim go for the 50-50, and they come up tails, and then Jiwoo here, if they can eliminate him, they feel like perhaps there's not enough wave clear to stop the end, but they still aren't able to actually push this advantage further. Only a single inhibitor going down mid off of the kill onto Jiwoo, who's now back up and spawned. He has his Crypt Bloom online, and the game continues. But I feel like this one is tough to throw, even if T1 really do wad it up and wind up their arms.
Oh, wow, okay.
Bye-bye.
Well, Call Me he had some health before. It's definitely gone now. Nice Call of the Forge God comes on through. And Mihail not even going to be able to get into this fight as the Dawning Shadow comes down. Guma's like, I'm a carry now, guys. And he's going to be able to take him down yet again. Faker is there, picks up the kill. The flash forward as Guma just wants to take this game. He's done. He just wants to go home. That is going to be the bottom inhibitor going down, and Oner, he's walking straight towards these Nexus turrets. Never you mind. They're not going to waste their time with those turrets. This game is over. T1 pick up the 2-0. It wasn't necessarily